Welcome to another installment of Test Chamber. I'm Matt Miller. I'm joined by Brian Shea.
Hello, hello.
Who is on the controller, and Ben Hanson.
Hello, Matt Miller.
And we are taking a look at a game I am very stoked about from one of my favorite independent game developers out there, Supergiant Games. Their new project, Pyre.
Ooh. I know nothing about this game, by the way.
That's awesome.
Probably because it's not even out yet, Brian Shea.
It's not out yet, but Brian, you haven't played this demo yet, right?
I have not. I'm ready to get started right now.
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready. Right from the start, I think there's aspects of this game that hint at Supergiant's kind of style.
I can hear the beat rolling in already.
Right? And that, I mean, even the music,
definitely.
like right away,
Totally.
is like, this is like Bastion, Transistor, that kind of thing.
And it's so fun when an indie game or indie studio has developed enough games to like have a distinct style where it's like, oh, there's something super giant about this.
I think Supergiant has done an interesting thing with their games in that their style is defined by their color palette and their sound more so than like their focus on a particular genre.
You can change
or
stuff?
anything like that. This is actually a nice little feature right at the beginning of the demo. You can choose your gender identity.
Oh, okay.
You're not a scene character in the game.
So you can be
right?
he, she, or they.
That's
okay.
right. And so
I'll
I'm
be a
going
he.
to leave that up to you, Brian. But we're meeting here the three kind of main heroes that you're going to be interacting with. These are your party members.
We should explain what this is. This is the demo that they showed off at PAX, which is very, very early, right?
Yeah, it's an early demo, but it's a very polished demo that I think does a great job of showing off what is interesting about the game. We're being introduced to this world called the Downside, which is sort of this, it's kind of like this purgatory where undesirables have been flung out of the Commonwealth, which is this mysterious world or country or something.
It's a proud country risen from the ashes of a fallen empire, actually.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So it's not necessarily a supernatural purgatory afterlife type environment.
It's not clear.
Okay.
Like all of Supergiant Games' work, there's a lot of things about the nature of the world that's kind of mysterious, and I suspect we might never get the full answer about. Mm-hmm. But we are meeting at least some discrete characters this time right out of the gate. And they're kind of the three heroes you're going to be guiding through the rites, which we're going to be learning about here shortly. You're going to like this next guy, Ben. This guy's pretty cool. It's a dog with a mustache.
That is my favorite thing. 3 members of my family growing up were dogs with mustaches.
So Rookie is your sort of small and fast character.
We haven't mentioned yet how cool it is to have like the highlighted names, like basically the weird hyperlink in there in red, and you can just move your cursor over it and find out more. It's so nice. I mean, games have a tough time with explaining the details, and every once in a while you want a nice reminder, and it's a really smart touch on their part.
I think their cursor system in this game is really interesting. If for reasons we'll talk about here as we get deeper in.
I'm totally a reader.
So right off the bat, we don't know exactly what's going on here with being a reader, whether that's supposed to mean something to us. Turns out it's a little bit more sophisticated than just you know how to read a book, I think.
Oh, weird.
So this whole cursor system is letting you kind of explore the wagon. Brian jumped right into like looking at the book, but you'll have the opportunity after you kind of read through this.
I'm glad that Brian chose the most boring item in that room.
Yeah. So
All right.
Miller, do you just like this cursor system because it looks and feels like Destiny?
I would be surprised if it wasn't at least in part inspired by Destiny.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Oh, Lord.
So you've looked at the book.
Yeah, it was so boring,
And
wasn't it?
this is drawing you into a tutorial.
Tis true what the book says. You can be free.
And this is where the big twist comes in of what this game is about.
Whoa.
It's about reading, right, Miller?
It's about reading. No,
Reading simulator.
You witness now
it's a fantasy RPG, and I don't want to
the rights
imply that it's anything else. It is definitely a fantasy RPG where you're talking to characters, you're leveling them up, all that kind of good stuff. But in place of a traditional combat system, you have this thing called the rights. And the rights, for all intents and purposes, is like an old school classic arcade sports game. So we're diving in here. It's moving at a faster speed than I think it's supposed to right for this part, but we'll see if I think it'll settle back down.
It's interesting because it says like RT to rush, and I wonder if it's just like something thinks that we're pressing RT to rush.
Yeah,
that's probably what's going on, right?
Okay, so
Whoever steps into the flame is banished.
Headwind is banished. Okay, so what exactly is happening here?
That's a great question.
So this is the okay. Now we're moving at the right speed. Pre-release code. These things happen. The idea here is that there's this like celestial orb. For all intents and purposes, it's a ball.
But you always call, even in basketball, you call it a celestial orb,
I
right?
call it that. Yeah. But you have to get the ball, and you need to slam dunk it into the opposing team's pyre.
Okay, so you want to get close and press X to jump in.
Oh yeah, you see, you didn't get close enough. There we go. Now you'll note that your characters, when they slam it, disappear. So then you have to kind of act down a character, and you're passing the ball back and forth. I mean, Brian, just off the top of your head, what does this remind you of?
A little bit NBA Jam, a little bit ice hockey on NES.
Yeah, exactly.
You can check players. You can just tackle them and.
So even though this is
cast.
Even though this is like a fantasy RPG at its core, the thing that they have instead of a
there we go.
Instead of a battle system is this kind of competition that you get into, where you need to go slam dunk the ball.
How RPG is it though? Like I know there's kind of like the different archetypes here. And what was that magic move that he used?
Well, so he's basically, you're talking about that blast,
Yeah.
right?
Oh boy.
He scored on you.
Gotta.
Yeah, so you have these different tools at your disposal. You can either send out. You've got an aura that surrounds you, and the aura is a representation of your wrongdoing within the fiction.
Okay.
But effectively, what it is that if you can touch your aura to an opposing character, it banishes them for a short time.
I missed.
So you don't want to get into another character's aura, like the opponent team's aura. When you're carrying the ball, your aura moves to the ball, and so.
Miller, I love the idea of this being like a lore gateway to you getting into sports in general. Like, I've never thought about it as a representation of their wrongdoings on that basketball court.
So one of the things that you're doing right now, Brian, is I'm noticing you're running into people's auras.
Yes.
Which you can't do.
Okay.
So
thanks, coach.
Yeah. So like you want to try to run
I've had that talk on the basketball court many times. I noticed you're running into other people's auras.
I understand that. So like pass the ball around in such a way that you can get to the pyre without having to touch one of their auras.
All right, so I did it.
You did it. You won the tutorial.
Yes.
Way to go.
I was worried there for a second.
So I really like this idea that like it's not really this like violent kill the other team thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're in a competition with them, and
Just
you need
NBA
to like,
Jam.
do these rights in order to gain the option to leave the downside. That's your goal. These
Okay.
exiles want to go back to the Commonwealth, and the only path that they have to do that is these rights.
It's the fighting pits.
It's kind of the fighting pits.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
What is
so
this?
So now
Charting
because
out
you're
our-
a reader, we're learning more about what it means to be a reader. You can interpret the stars
Okay.
and discover where the next rite is going to take place.
The Ridge of Goal, apparently.
The Ridge of Goal.
And so is the entire game just the back of that caravan, text screens, and then the basketball?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, Ben, because I think Supergiant Games is about to answer your question through what happens next, which is
Okay.
that we discover that the travel between the rights is as significant a part of the game as the actual like competition battle system itself. Now that we know that we need to go to the Ridge of Goal next, we're the caravan is off on its little journey, which is very cute, by the way. I love the way the wagon looks as it's bouncing around through the landscape.
It looks like the car in the beginning of Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah.
A very specific reference.
I mean, some people have noted the similarity here to something like Oregon Trail, which I don't think is an unfair comparison.
Yeah.
You might have seen that -1 fuel popped up
Okay.
when you
Okay. So
when you arrived at your location, and you're now camping. You've got some fuel remaining. It's 2 days until the next right, and you need to be at the ridge in that amount of time.
we consider our options.
Yes, you want to consider your options.
Let's consider our options.
I like that as a actionable button in a video game. Consider your options.
I love these character designs, by the way. Jodariel in particular looks super awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
She's your
cool.
big kind of heavy character.
Speaking of heavy, look at those horns. How does she hold that head up?
She's got a strong neck, is what I'm
It
presuming.
must be iron, yeah.
There's the implication within the world as you kind of explore it that there's things that have happened to these exiles that have begun to change them once they arrived in the downside.
Oh,
Like change them into a wolf man?
Maybe. It's not clear.
forage for resources, study in private, or mentor a companion. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that would like level up a character.
Yeah, so these three options, every time you camp, you have a choice of how you sort of develop your party, right? If you forage, you're going to maybe go get some fuel or get some stuff you can sell. If you study, you're going to learn more about the rights. And if you mentor, you're going to be able to help level your characters. You're in the parlance of the game, they call it moving them towards enlightenment.
Okay.
But really what it is that you're leveling up and getting new abilities to use during the rights.
So which would you recommend?
Oh, this is your playthrough,
Oh,
man.
boy.
Go for it. You make a decision.
I think we should move some people towards enlightenment.
Okay.
They seem to like that idea.
So yeah, you know something about the Book of Rights. So you're going to choose one of your characters.
I'm going to choose dog with mustache.
There you go. Rookie. I could go for some enlightenment right about now.
Perfect. Good old rookie. Do you have the sense that, I mean, these are the three characters throughout the game? Is it going to be like a rotating cast? How does this work?
I don't know. I think probably these are the three characters.
Okay.
Just because they each represent a particular archetype of gameplay style. Much like the old kind of ice hockey, right? Mm-hmm. Where you had like the big guy,
The heavy, the kind of like the balanced character, and then the skinny, fast
skinny
person.
guy, right? Same idea here.
I am very curious what, like, the fans that are going to grow up around this game, like, what is that community? Just like the Rocket League
think-
fanatics and the RPG fanatics?
I honestly think it is a fantasy RPG game that has an extra layer of interesting nostalgia to it if you played those old sports games.
Right.
But there's nothing about the game itself, like the rights, that you can't pick up and understand if you're just like, oh, I'm a fantasy RPG guy.
Right.
By the way, we're going here because the dog with the mustache wanted to.
Yes, I understand. I mean, you got to listen to the dog with the mustache.
Son of Sam over here.
And you can learn more about Hollow Root if you want to.
Let's do it.
You can look at just kind of, like you said, Ben, it's cool to be able to hover over stuff
It's smart. It's super smart.
and learn more.
Let's settle in there.
Rookie went to visit an associate.
Yeah.
Wonder how influenced by Banner Saga this game is.
I think Banner Saga is another game that you could easily compare this aspects of this game to. There's certainly an aspect of like Mass Effect or Dragon Age at play with the companion conversations. We haven't seen a whole lot of that yet.
Or the Tale series.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So actually go down to the conversation thing. I want to show you some stuff. So the Black Wagon in itself is kind of interesting. You have some conversations you can have with the different characters. This is a great one. It's about my mustache.
Conflicting reports.
So when I played through this, I thought the mustache looked a little silly, and I had him I told him I didn't like it. But you clearly are a big fan of the mustache.
I like the mustache on the dog.
So he's going to hold on to it.
Does he get rid of it if you suggest
He
that it
does.
looks dumb?
He totally shaves
I'm
it
so glad
off.
I told him not
interesting. I never thought I'd say interesting about the idea of a cartoon dog shaving its mustache. But.
You move past it pretty quick, but there you may have noted that it said that throuhg got +1 hope. Mm-hmm. So I think the idea here is that the conversations you have with the characters actually give you little temporary buffs that affect things.
That's cool. Like
You
a
can also-
morale system.
Yeah, you can also move around this wagon and learn some interesting things, like hover over a candle and press a button. You can blow out the candles.
There we go.
Can you even hear a little...
Okay, so go right above those. Those are the drive imps. I love these little cute guys. These are the guys who push the black wagon along.
You can...
From how? What? From a shelf?
We don't know. Like there's another one down the bottom left of the wagon. He's just kind of hanging out there.
Miller, you seem so sold on the lore of this game already from this little demo.
I will tell you, after so many years of being deeply enmeshed in fantasy and science fiction storytelling, in games and in books and movies and all that kind of stuff, the things that really fascinate me these days are when people just go completely crazy and just do things I haven't seen before. The idea that there's this like nomad's wagon moving across the countryside, driven by imps, is, I don't know, just kind of amusing to me.
Sure.
Because it's not something I've seen before. And I can't imagine that I'm the only one in that camp who's a little bit tired of some of the old like sword and sorcery stuff. I mean, I love that. That's the stuff I came up on in my love of narrative and storytelling. But I like it when people do other interesting things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, so...
God, the art also, it reminds me, this might be a weird reference, but it reminds me of like Sleeping Beauty's background art.
I can see that. Yeah.
Got some rafter fungus.
It's almost like a stained glass kind of quality to it a little bit. I think that's an excellent observation. And moreover, to take it back to what we were talking about, the opening of the test chamber, there is... it's sort of unmistakably a Supergiant game to me, right? Like, if you've played Bastion or you've played Transistor,
definitely.
There's something, even though this is a totally different world, there's something about the color palette, about the sound design, about the look of the characters, even the tone of the writing, that all kind of recalls the previous work of this developer.
Shall we commence the rites?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Come on and jam. No,
Can you pipe that music in while we do this?
I shall not.
Oh, the dog with the mustache is getting a little...
He's ticked off.
Miller, where do you stand on the Transistor versus Bastion debate? If you had to choose.
I think just personally, I'm a little bit more of a Bastion enthusiast.
Yeah, same here.
But I think Transistor is a really interesting game. I think Transistor is a more adventurous design.
Yeah.
I like the turn-based stuff of Transistor a lot. Kind of integrated within like a real-time battle system.
Yeah, also a really interesting battle system. But I think interesting, maybe more interesting than fun. I think it's maybe where I'd put the Transistor game in the end.
Oh, so are these obstacles going to move for this one, or are like different arenas that you can play in?
I think that's the idea, is that with the different rights, not only are you facing different opponents, but the actual shape of the board is a little different.
So this doesn't have a heavy on their team. They just have 2 lights and a medium.
Yeah. And they also, like, keeping within the story-focused role-playing thing, even though this is kind of going to be this little sport encounter that you have, there's a storyline here, right? Like, this guy apparently knows your heroes, and he's ticked off at them for some particular reason.
Okay.
Now, because there's teams with different, like, formations and different loadouts, I feel like there's going to be more characters you can add to your party and reconfigure your party to be like, all right, I want an all-light team for this Pyre.
That's possible. That's possible. Although at some point, I don't know where they'd all fit in the wagon, but yeah, it's
we'll worry about that later.
We'll worry about it when we get there. This initial demo doesn't tell us that much info about that. And it's something interesting to note here. They're going to talk more about this, I think, over time. But when auras are close to one another, they get larger.
Interesting. Okay.
Remember, you can just touch your aura to his, too.
I like banishing him.
Yeah.
All right, Speedy.
That guy is so fast.
He's really fast. Now, careful. If he touches your guy,
So I should get away from him.
yeah.
Oh,
So see how he knocked out Rookie there. And Rookie will eventually come back.
crap.
Remember, you can jump with X as well.
And what does that get you?
You can jump over people's auras
Oh,
or jump
there we
into
go.
the pyre.
Go.
Okay.
There's also something like kind of crazy and screwed up about the very structure of this game
Oh,
you're playing
no.
because you're going in each time you score, you're self-immolating in the opponent's fire.
And can you define immolating?
like you're burning
Catching yourself
off,
on fire.
Okay.
right? And then your character is gone for a while. They're sort of banished by that action.
Uh-oh.
You're in trouble now, man.
I really am.
You can hold off. You can wait until your guys are back.
letting him respawn a little.
Is that big guy ever worth it? He seems...
Yeah, well, he can knock people back with his little slam thing.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
helpful.
Threw it right at the opponent.
There you go. That was a good move. Just
All right,
go
so
for it. Just run in.
I'm trying. Uh-oh.
Dive.
No,
just
I guess you can't hold rush and jump at the same
No, you
time.
can't.
Okay, that's what I was trying to do. I will not.
Well done, Brian. This is something I wish they would do in real sports, is change up the way the court looks, or like the layout of the football field. Like put some hills on there,
make it so
change it
people
up.
catch
and then
themselves on
make the
fire.
players burn themselves.
That's what I've been arguing for years. That every sporting match should end with people lighting themselves on fire.
I've been in those conversations that you have with people. It's kind of weird, man. I got to tell you.
So what am I supposed to do?
Well, you got to find a way in. They pretty much have blocked your path in, so you're gonna have to draw them out somehow.
You're trying to lure, like use the ball as bait.
Yeah, basically. There you go.
What else is Brian doing wrong here, Miller?
I think, Brian, it's helpful to be deliberate in your actions, even though it's sort of like focused as kind of sports thing. There is something about kind of like it is actually almost more of a strategy thing, where you're not moving quite fast enough that it's like this super focused action thing, even though it uses the sports structure.
Well, I mean, there's strategies in sports.
There is strategy in the sports. Fair enough.
I do love the animation of that big guy walking, though.
He's cool, right? Or she's cool. Jadariel.
That's Jadariel.
Yeah, and this is Headwind running right
Go.
now.
Oh crap!
Just go for it, man.
I got no teammates.
Hide behind that sandcastle.
Remember, you
Hey,
can
there
jump
we
up.
go.
Yeah,
and
I
slam down.
always hold on to the right trigger. That's
Sure.
just a force of habit because of NBA Jam.
Sure.
Because I'm always turboing in NBA Jam.
Oh, you got that person. Way to go.
Here we go. I feel like there is an audience
Go
for this,
Rookie.
though.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well done. Well
I
done,
absolutely
Brian.
think there's an audience
Rookie
for it.
is
I think it's a fascinating structure for a game. Oh, he got you.
just annihilation.
This mix of kind of like arcade action sports feel with some sort of deep storytelling and world building. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm on board.
And I know they haven't confirmed anything yet, but it seems
Go.
it seems ripe for multiplayer.
Jump.
Don't you think?
I don't know. Maybe.
Just a little arcade blowout.
I think you could do multiplayer with it. They certainly have not implied at all that they're going to.
Well,
Right.
In the beginning, I mean, you could do competitive maybe, but
He
like
jumped over your blast.
I saw that and I was not happy about that at all. Oh, he jumped over me. All right.
It has potential to become the most beautiful esport if they do multiplayer.
I do think it is interesting if you've been paying attention to the narrator is actually saying things that react to the situation at hand.
Much like
familiar.
Bastion.
Which is very cool.
Yay!
Well done, Brian.
Did it.
Look how happy the dog with the mustache is. Rookie rules.
Clearly,
Rookie's
rookie
pretty
rules.
cool, especially with the mustache, right, Brian?
Yeah. Gotta keep that mustache.
No way around it. Well done, Brian. We're all very proud of you.
Should
Now,
be.
it's worth noting, I've played through the demo a couple times just trying different paths, and at one point I very purposefully lost this match, and the story moves forward. Which
Oh, cool.
It's not like you replay the match. And so I think the implication is that you would be able to have this evolving story that focuses on I've won this many matches, I've lost this many matches.
Colony Wars.
So
style.
here is
Yeah.
where I think that the heavy can be useful, is because I can make her so she can rush faster, or I can make it so her aura is wider, which I think for a heavy is a very important thing.
Absolutely. It's kind of whatever you want it to be, but you can see through that there is an implication of character progression, right?
Yeah.
Every one of your 3 characters is going to move up in an interesting way through the game.
They're real.
They're
The
true.
getting out of here club.
All of them.
So sometimes they speak
Ooh, so
English.
So what do you want to know? What do you want to know?
I want to know why they can't conduct the rites themselves.
That was a fake out. He says he's not going to
Alright.
give you an answer in the demo.
I like that their little voice quips, and I know that Greg from Supergiant has a history with RTS games. They sound like the little barks in an RTS game when you click
Yeah,
on a
sure,
unit.
Sure. And we're going to get some pan out and some cool key art here.
Very cool.
As the
Pretty
demo
game.
ends. But that's a first look at Pyre, a game I'm very stoked about. It's coming out in 2017 on PS4 and PC. And we will undoubtedly be continuing to watch this game as it gets closer to launch because Supergiant Games has proven themselves a developer worth watching.
Definitely.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you next time.